read through, everybody reads through the play, start to finish, the director takes notes, and doesn't do any stop or start. There may be another read through with directorial notes, where the director will say, you need a lower voice there, or you have to be a little quicker there, but typically the real direction doesn't happen until people are off book, when you don't have a book in your hand that you're reading from, so that you know the lines. And we gave you alter egos to have the lines for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you go through a process called blocking. And blocking means we're actually on the stage, sometimes with props, sometimes without props, and we're going to figure out where you're coming from, where you're going to stand, what motion has to happen in order for the words to make sense, in order for you to illustrate what's going on. So this becomes that sweet scene, and I think in this scene they kiss at the end of the sonnet, and I think they kiss again before Juliet says, "You kiss like the book." And I happen to like that line. I don't know what it means, you kiss by the book, but it should be breathless. You kiss by the book. I think that's sweet. And then, now the other questions that you might ask yourself, which would be modern stage questions. Shakespeare's stage did not have lighting effects. Shakespeare's stage did not have curtains. They had very few props, and they had minimal costuming. Most of the actors had to provide their own costumes for the play. So you would see costumes show up in play after play after play, and the audience would recognize them. And in fact, characters would play similar actors would play similar characters in different plays, so that the audience would begin to recognize, you played the guy with the broom in the last play. And sometimes Shakespeare wrote lines in to refer to I left my dog home, because the last play was in, he had a dog, and there's a dog in this play. So they would pick up those little in-jokes. So, all right, if this were a modern stage, this is a party, big time, okay? What would you have on stage for the party? You've got men and women of all ages.
Food.
You have food, tables with food. You've got music coming from somewhere. You have musicians on stage if it's big enough. Okay, there's a space for dancing. There's a place for people to sit. There is dialogue that happens during the party, and so people kind of circulate towards the front of the stage and deliver their lines. There's a Capulet sits on one side and has some lines. Where would you want them to be for this scene? That's Romeo and Juliet. They're at the party. But
Off to the side.
Oh, I see them off to the side.
Off to the side, I would say,
I
because they're
think-
having
so
an
they-
aside
I want people to
conversation.
see them together.
I
So-
think of West Side Story.
Yeah, okay.
They met like right in the middle, and nobody else was.
So how did they stage that in West Side Story? That's it. What did they do it?
They had everybody dancing, and then they faded out everybody else.
They faded out everybody else. They froze them
Yeah.
in the middle of the dance. Everybody's, and then they have a white spot on
Yeah.
Tony and Maria,
Yeah.
and they black out everybody else. So that's how you can get away with center stage, because you've got to isolate them, because they can't be doing this while people are dancing in the background. It's just too distracting. So now, one way to do it on a Shakespearean stage would be put them on the side.
Put them what?
On the side. They hit and they drift over to the corner, and the rest of the actors would quiet down. They may not disappear, but they would quiet down. So it becomes among those choices. If I had a prop, I have an image of a very large plant that they hide behind. Because I think from the beginning of the scene, they both know they're going to kiss, although Juliet is playing a little coy. Juliet is one of my favorite Shakespearean characters, incidentally. I think she's the brightest woman in Shakespeare. And because one of the other things about this play, it's a play with a lot of dueling, okay, sword play, and Juliet duels with words. And this is an example of a duel between Romeo and Juliet, but she's playing with him. She's got the witty comeback, she's got the image, she's got the stop move, and then she's got the, oh, all right, at the end. That's sweet. Okay, we have a little under, what did I say, 45 minutes for you guys to get out of here on time.
Sorry, Vince just told me in my ear that Jim
Longo?
is coming at 2:30 to speak
Oh,
with
good.
us because we are a little behind on our.
Oh, sure, I'm gonna give him some of my time.
But she has to leave, I'm gonna just.
I'll
You have
videotape.
to go.
He'll be here, you'll have him.
I'm gonna have to,
Okay,
yeah.
so
he's
I
supposedly
wanna
coming
try
at
to go
2:30
into a
for
wrap, but I-
questions for us, 'cause
Good.
we're a little behind, we
Yeah, we're
haven't
lost.
been informed about our end of the year project.
I
our
understand.
mentorship.
It's due in
So
like
Jim
a
is
month.
supposed to come, 'cause
The
we're in our
mechanics
second
are
year now,
important.
So it's like,
So,
that's what was just whispered to me, that he was coming at 2:30.
so that's terrific. Well, welcome, Jim, I haven't seen him in a while. Okay, I wanna give you a final exam here. While I'm getting this set up, you may wanna think about whether you're gonna make entries on your pieces of paper that talked about things that help and hinder. Remember, there's the first piece of paper I sent out, and I wanna take at least 10 minutes to go through this, but I think what I normally do with this exercise next is I ask people to work in small groups and then come back. So you can imagine this activity this way. I would give you these sonnets and send you to lunch, and you have an hour to read it, and then come in groups and then talk about it, and then come make a presentation. That model is not gonna work in 40 minutes, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you the sonnets, and we'll work as a group on, a group of 8 is not too big. So there are 2 pages that look very much the same. Okay, you need one of that, and you need one of those as well.
Okay,
So
we'll
just,
keep-
there's 2 sonnets on that, and we'll pass it back and give it over to them. And we'll pick 2 of the sonnets to work on, and that we should be able to do in a half hour.
Oh,
Oh,
they're both
okay.
the same, but we have to
Okay.
Yeah, all
go
right.
and.
So,
Trying to make-
crossover,
Crossover.
Red Rover.
Oh, and then you get, wait, what?
No, you're all going to get
These
2
are all the
pieces of
same, they're the
paper.
same. Oh, okay.
I
They
gave,
have one, we have one.
Oh, gotcha.
So we have paper A, we have paper B, and we need A and B.
I should have color coded.
That's how
I
my
know I
first
should have
grade.
color coded. Okay, can I have the extras back?
Oh, wait.
Can you come around? Okay, so these are sonnets, they're independent of each other, and I'm gonna, let's focus on, all right, I could have saved a lot of paper. CXXIX and CLI, they're both on the same page. One starts the expensive spirit, and the other starts, I love is too young to know. Let me give you some, there's a lot of background here in both of these. The word spirit in the first sonnet would have commonly been understood to mean a number of different things in Shakespeare's time. It would have meant the soul, it would have meant ghost, it could have meant energy, a form of energy. It could have also meant a fluid, as in spirits, okay? There's a famous line in Dr. Strangelove, the movie, about vital spirits being lost, which reflects on that. So we're going to try to work on this and say, all right, what is this about, this sonnet? First read? Any hints?
I'm
Copper.
trying to get the, trying to get the theme.
Okay?
The top I'm thinking is talking about lust, in
Lust.
terms of not when you don't act on it, it's all of those things
Right.
until it's acted upon, when it
Okay,
changes.
so lust is a theme. Okay, I'm not asking for complete interpretations right now. We're just ideas and images.
Oh, okay.
Lust is an idea, and if you don't act on it, it's that whole list of things.
Right.
Shame, blame, mad, hell. It sounds very.
Shame, blame, mad, hell.
Sounds-
Okay, what's this person's attitude towards lust?
Negative.
Negative. Something's lust is
Despised. Whoa. This person has some problems.
yeah. Well, could be
Hate is, or is that bait?
past reason hunted, and no sooner had past reason hated as a swallowed bait.
So he got
A
scorned.
purpose laid to make the taker mad.
Yeah.
Who swallows bait?
Fish.
Fish. What does a fish do when they swallow the bait?
Get hooked.
They get fried eventually. They get fried eventually. When they get hooked, they go crazy.
Mhm.
It's a very powerful image to me.
It started
Yeah.
off good, it looks like a bliss in truth before a joy proposed, so it was good, and then something happened.
Okay, so, well, you're picking up the images here. This is about lust and the effects of lust, and the claims. The tags are shame. It started off with shame and blame. Okay, so we're looking for an arc or a change that happens. So it begins with shame and blame. All of those adjectives: savage, extreme, rude, cruel, makes people mad. Mad in pursuit, extreme in quest, a bliss in proof and proof, a woe, before a joy, behind a dream, okay? And then the images of heaven and hell at the end. So here's,
No one knows good.
so who would have such an attitude about lust?
Someone alone. Like, no.
Religion.
Someone alone, somebody religious, somebody who, I mean, we're looking for ideas.
Somebody who got hurt in love. Hurt in
Somebody who
love?
got hurt, somebody with bad
Hurt in
experience,
love?
Yeah.
You know, so they're resentful?
okay.
Love gone wrong.
Yeah.
Love gone wrong, or lust gone wrong,
Yeah.
okay? So the idea is if we were going to get, and there are all choices here, okay? Well, so they're all good choices. We can't do them all. You know, we're gonna have to pick a couple. So what our choice is if we were going to perform this, if we were going to play this as an actor, we would have to find a character in this. A character who is religious might deliver it one way. A character who is alone and lonely might deliver this a different way. A character who is remembering a past bad experience may deliver it yet another way. You understand what I'm saying? If excuse me, if the voice here is a parent talking to a child, there may be one voice. Okay. If the voice is a man walking out of a prostitute's room, this may be another voice. You see, we can preach with it, we can talk about the despair, we could have fun with it.
I'm picturing the church lady.
The church lady, oh, I like that. Well, it's too young. The expensive spirit and a waste of shame is lost in action.
Well, isn't that special?
Isn't that special? Who made me do it? Same thing. That's fun. Okay? Do you see how you could take that and create a character like the church lady and deliver this with a preachy, squilly, voice? So a couple of friends of mine who are married and are actors, male and female, do this as a duet. And they come together separately. So the wife comes on and says, "The expensive spirit in a waste of shame," and the husband runs after her. "Is lust in action?" He grabs her. Until action, she says, lust is, and then there's a grope fest. Perjured, murderous, bloody, full of blame. And each time they say one of those words, one of them grabs the other in a different place. Okay, slap, 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 head down, up and down their back. They wind up. By the time they get to the end, they're on the floor, okay, delivering the lines as they are rolling on the floor. And the he gets to deliver the line, before a joy proposed, behind a dream. And as he walks off, all this the world well knows, yet none knows well, and she says, to shun the heaven that leads men to this hell, and referring to herself. So, I mean, the point of this is to say, all right, this is a very fertile ground. There are images that we can find in here that give us an idea of what the poem might be saying, and that we could say it with different voices, for different purposes, for different dramatic effects. Do we know what Shakespeare intended? Absolutely not. We don't. But this is certainly what we could do. And there are a musician friend of mine refers to this as a bolero poem. Do you know the bolero piece?
Mm-hmm.
It's a piano piece by Ravel. It starts
They did that in the
first.
Olympics. Remember the skaters? They won the gold medal with
Right,
that.
the skaters won the gold medal with that. It was the background music in the movie
Beautiful.
10.
Yes.
Okay, and and bolero starts off with a very slow rhythm, and the rhythm slowly builds to a peak, an orgasmic peak, and then it goes back. It's like a musical orgasm. So if you start at the beginning of this, it starts off slow. Expensive spirit in a waste of shame is lust in action. Until action, lust is perjured, murderous, bloody, full of blame, savage, extreme, rude, cruel, not to trust, enjoyed no sooner but despised it straight. Past reason hunted, and no sooner had past reason hated. Do you see the rhythms that are going on here? Enjoyed no sooner but despised it straight. Past reason hunted, and no sooner had past reason hated. As a swallowed bait on purpose laid to make the taker mad, mad in pursuit and in possession, so having, in quest to have extreme, bliss in proof, and proved very woe. And it just slows down. Before a joy proposed, behind the dream. All this the world well knows, yet none knows well. To shun the heaven that leads men to this hell. Welcome to hell.
I've been there, man. When you guys are ready to be done, I'll talk when you're at the end.
Okay, well, we got some people who have to hustle out to pick up kids.
Well, then when you're
So,
done, then I need
2:30, a little before 2:30?
Yeah, I'm good. All right, a little before 2:30.
Okay, great. In 10 minutes? Okay, you guys?
Whatever makes you happy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
That'd be great.
Whatever you need to do.
Jim actually likes this next one. Okay, notes. The word conscience. The word conscience existed in Shakespeare's time, and it had two very opposite meanings. The fact that it shows up 3 times in this poem suggests that Shakespeare is inviting us to play with all the meanings. So the common use of the word conscience today is that it refers to some kind of moral position, the Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder, you know, who tells you, the super ego who tells you it's not permitted. That's conscience. But the word in Latin is conscience. And in Latin, the con prefix means with or shared, and as in concurrent, together, and science is knowledge. And scientia in Latin is knowledge. So shared knowledge is biblical and referring to intercourse. So they had knowledge of each other is the image. So conscience, and may have been pronounced that way, or conscience. So the choice would be whether we're talking here about morality or whether we're talking about sexuality. And the question is through the whole poem. And then, of course, it ends in the final couplet, so that conscience is clearly anchored here. What else is going on in this poem?
Somebody's being betrayed.
By whom?
Themselves.
Because betrayal is there. Betrayal, treason, triumph, triumphant prize. Okay, so there's both betrayal and triumph going on, so some kind of conflict. So who is the thou in that line that starts, for thou betraying me?
I'm thinking it's like themselves, like an inner conflict.
Okay, so
Themselves.
actually the answer is grammatical. Okay, look
Oh.
in the sentence.
Thou. I don't know what thou.
Okay, so, all right, the first line, yet who knows not conscience is born of love, ends in a question mark, end of a sentence, right? The second sentence says, then, gentle cheater, urge not my amiss. So who's the subject of that? The gentle cheater. Thou betraying me, the thou has got to be the gentle cheater.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's addressing the gentle cheater. Betrayal is, so who does the betraying? Thou betray me, I betray. What do I betray? What's the object of this? It's an exercise in grammar.
My noble part.
I betray my noble part to my gross body. My soul, my noble part, tells my body he may triumph in love. Flesh stays no farther reason. That's a misprint on the board there. It should be further. I think it's further on your copy. Okay. Stay means hold up, maintain, like a stay in a boat holds up the mast. Okay, the beginning, we have a thou at beginning the second couplet. We have a thy beginning the third couplet. Are they the same reference? This is a language thing. We don't use thou, thee, thy. Okay. Typically, thou and thee would be two different people. Thou, thee.
Who's thy?
Pardon?
And what's thy?
I didn't hear your question.
Thy is,
Thy is a possessive. Thy name.
So it's somebody's
Yeah.
name, but who's the thy? Is that the
Rising
cheater?
at thy name doth point out
Still?
thee as his pride. So something is rising at your name and points you out as his prize. He is contented thy drudge to be, standing in thy affairs and falling by thy side. So the puzzle becomes, the choices become, who is thou? Who is thee? Thou is the gentle cheater who rises at your name.
Where's the?
Sorry?
Where's the in here?
Thee is at the end of the first line of the third quatrain.
doth point out thee.
Maybe somebody else that's in love with the same person, or with the person he's in love with, or the other man.
No, I think you're right. It's a different person than the person
Because-
who's involved in the conversation of the first two quatrains, first 8 lines. First 8 lines, I think, is somebody talking to themselves. Where do I get that? I have 2 parts of myself, a noble part and a gross part. I have a soul and I have a body. who is talking to who? I think the noble part is talking to the gross part.
Conscience.
Love is too young to know what conscience is, yet who knows not, conscience is born of love. Love is too young to know what morality is, yet who knows not, morality is born of love. I'm trying to do the paraphrase thing, see which. Love is too young to know what intercourse is, yet who knows not, intercourse is born of love. Then, my gross part, urge not my amiss, yes, guilty of my faults, thyself prove. Thou, my gross parts, betraying me, I betray my nobler parts to my gross body's treason. My soul tells my body, he may triumph in love. Flesh maintains no further reason. My soul gives my body permission to triumph in love. That's what may means, right? You have permission. My soul gives my body permission to triumph. Rising at thy name, he points out thee as his prize. Proud of this pride, he is contented thy drudge to be, to stand in thy affairs and fall by thy side. Who stands and falls? No want of morality holds it that I call her love, for whose dear love I rise and fall.
So the thee and the thy, are they the same person there, or are those?
Is this person, I don't know, saying that there's something going on with the person that he loves, and he's contented to just accept that? Where it says he's contented, thy poor drudge to be.
So what is a
So he's
drudge?
not-
Drudge is a slave?
So
So I'm willing to be your slave.
Yeah.
But rising at thy name, he points you out as his prize.
So it's somebody else's
Somebody else's partner.
person.
All right,
Woman.
I would accept somebody else, except I think that it's himself.
His inner.
The two parts of me, I'm the speaker. Two parts of me are in conflict. There is my soul. What does my soul think? My soul thinks of morality. My soul thinks of propriety. My soul thinks of romantic love. What does my body think of?
Passion.
Sex. Okay. What part of my body reacts to sex? What part of my body reacts to sex? That might stand in your affairs and fall by your side. For your love that would rise and fall.
Is this where the puberty class comes in?
This is not for the middle school group, I would think. They would understand it perfectly.
That's what I teach, I could do that.
There you go. This is the puberty class, I think. All right, once we get to that point, it's hard to say anything without it having three meanings. So let's see how this falls into place. My body, I don't want my body to urge me to make a mistake. because my own faults would make me guilty. Thy sweet, so the question about thee and thou, okay? In the first line, thy refers to the gentle cheater.
Right.
The other person hasn't been introduced yet.
But the gentle cheater is also this person.
The gentle cheater is the body
One
part of
side
this
of it,
person.
Oh.
Yeah.
The other one's the nobler part.
The other noble part. So,
This
if my body betrays me, I betray my noble parts to my body, gross body's treason. I can't hide the fact that I'm reacting to you. My soul tells my body, he may triumph in love. Flesh says, screw that.
Yeah. Rising at thy name.
Rising in thy name, I point thee out as my prize. The word is schwing.
Whose name? What
Proud
name?
of
Any
this
name?
pride, he's contented, thy drudge to be, to stand in thy affairs, fall by thy side. No want of conscience, no want of morality holds that I call her love, for whose dear love I rise and fall.
Ah.
And so I think when you get to the point of saying, here's an idea that makes the poem fall together, you say, we have something which can be produced. Okay, I now have an image. So the worst kind of playing, acting, is done by a director who doesn't have an idea behind his head, and it's just got actors up there saying lines, and it becomes dull and boring. So 2 weeks ago, I threw away my cane, or I would have brought it in. It would be the perfect prop for this. I could have my pen go. So all right, we have to respect the folks who have to leave, and so I'm going to ask you if you have a moment to write down some things that you think were facilitated or not. Do we have contributions for that? I'll be happy to collect them and read them, so you know, or you could read them yourself. But this way, you can pretend that it's not you that I'm talking about. Things that helped, things that didn't help. Try to translate.
They're so good when you understand it. So annoying,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
Understanding it.
Oh, I'm digging in. Oh, and then I'll pass.
Pass me, pass me.
Anthony, don't leave your crackers here either. They're gonna be eaten.
That's what,
Did you? Oh,
Yeah.
okay then.
Check them out to make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got,
One
we
of
got
these,
some freaking
yeah.
food every time. That's great. Oh boy. Okay. You insist.
Thank you, Beth.
Oh boy. Chocolate or cookie?
We start off with
Oh.
these, and I'll accept contributions. I'll keep a record of them. The wherefore voice change issue made sense. That was in the where my love swears that I made a truth issue. Using the voice change helped help that come in. The more general technique is called parenthetical phrasing, so that you use your voice to do parenthetical. One of the books I didn't refer you to is Patsy Rodenberg's book about how to say Shakespeare. Okay, it's actually not a set of rules about how to say each word, but it's a set of exercises and really good group activities for you working with kids to help them get their mouths around the words. Patsy Rodenberg, it's in the list. Confusion and lack of knowledge are things which absolutely get in the way. Oh, bad people. I'll take it.
No, who put that there? You didn't want it over the your
Anthony,
side.
get
No, we all took it, we passed it, we wanted it.
Pass it around.
Oh, come on, ladies. You
I'm
had a
gonna go with my
salad for
rules.
lunch. You can splurge on this.
I've
Wait
been
till you
splurging
hit
all
40.
summer. Yeah.
Take some home
Too long
then.
ago I had 40.
Come on, you guys are married already, you have kids. What are you trying to?
Okay, any other
Yeah, give it up,
ideas?
it's all over. Why bother?
Hey, exactly. Live a little, have some fun.
Fantastic.
I know.
Uh-huh.
It's summer. That's my.
What helps, what got in the way? Did it happen to you today? If so,
Yeah.
where and what might have helped? If not, what was going on? So unfortunately, the very last thing we did, partially because of the time issue, was very frustrating. Because you guys didn't have time to really discover that.
That helped.
I had an idea, but I didn't want to say it. I'm the only male. I was trying to say, something
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, I don't want to go
The
there.
rise of
The gross body part quickly, but the social pressure keeps you from sharing that aha.
Yeah.
Okay. I did this workshop with a small group, 4 people, over 2 days at the Graduate Institute building, and we were in a very big room. And just as I handed out those sonnets, 2 workmen came in to work on the air conditioning. And all of the free-flowing idea and trust that was built up over 2 days of workshop immediately disappeared because nobody wanted to talk about lust, nobody wanted to talk about sex, nobody wanted to talk about gross body parts in front of those folks. And I said, bad timing. So social pressure it was the issue that says, I don't want to be the first one to say that. Okay, I don't want to be the one, I got the idea, the aha happened, but I really can't talk about it. There's a lot of research that indicates in psychology that people's awareness of taboo subjects, okay, inhibits their discussion of those taboo subjects. The original research was done in the 1940s when they flashed taboo words on the screen and measured people's reaction, galvanic skin response, electrical skin response. People had a response to the words 4 or 5 minutes before they were willing to say the words. And so they're absolutely sure that was the word the guy really wanted to say. Now, in the 1940s, that research was done. In the 1970s, I tried to duplicate that research at Sacred Heart University using the list of words that they used in the 1940s, and it didn't work because the words included really scary words like ankle and belly that were strong taboo words. And so my class decided to come up with a list of words that would work as taboo words. So we ran it with a different group of subjects, and some of them didn't work because the subjects didn't know what the word meant. That was so so social pressure becomes an issue of hindering. But it's a sad thing to end the experience on a frustration level, where you're staring at the words, it's not coming, it's not coming. So, when you're frustrated like that, what can help?
Yeah, the communication question. No, when you explained it, I think it was a lot clearer, like when I
Humor.
had an idea.
That's what I use a lot.
So leaving one frustrated is something that hinders development of meaning. Because if you are frustrated and you opt out of the circumstance, you can't have the meaning. All right, as teachers we know that kids do that all the time. When they're frustrated, they shut down, and you've got to find a way to get them back. And then that's when I heard the word humor. Okay. What else is attention focusing and brings people back? Let's see. Think of my role right then. I've read that poem before. I knew where I was going with it. I performed that poem. I've seen people work on it. One thing I could do is just be real quiet, let the room get real quiet, and let you sit and struggle by yourselves. My experience has been that works if you guys are working on this over lunch. As you go out, you have lunch, you come back together as a group, you spend 4 minutes, you 4 people work together, you 4 people work together, you have an hour to work. Somebody will break the ice and say, wait, this is about sex. And then suddenly it becomes, it falls into place. So, among the things that can help is also social pressure, but in this case, social support. It's one of the reasons that collaborative learning groups work, because it keeps people on task. If you take the time to develop the group feeling about it. Just can't take the three worst kids and put them together unless they've got some connection to each other. But if they already have a social connection, they can work, and social support can give people permission to stay on task. Any other ideas before we bring Jim back in the room?
What I tried to keep bringing back is the theme of this class, which is meaning and trying to get a greater perspective about others. I thought it was very effective the way that you shared how you interpreted these plays, but that we could be right as well, and have a different idea. I would like to have explored that a little bit further
Most buildings shut down.
with conflict.
The energies are. I know, I wrote that down, that's great for the classroom.
How much longer, Edward?
2 days. Okay. I'll wrap up. Permission to have a different opinion. That's worth exploring more. If I don't give you permission to have a different opinion, I'm the expert and you're wrong. And we no longer have a relationship except dictator minion. Okay. If I want you to be a colleague in the dialogue, we have to be able to have a dialectic without pain, without accusing, and without winners and losers. So we can change our minds through dialectic, but in order for dialectic to work, I have to validate your right to have a differing opinion. And we have to have a shared belief that together we're going to be able to come up with something that's going to be more than what we started with. So I get to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, that was very interesting.
And bring Jim on, because he's got important stuff to do.
No, they have to talk about their mentorships and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, we're confused.
I've never heard that happen in a covert.
These people have to tell you what they're gonna do. No, here's what, I wanted to talk to you guys, I understand you had a lot of questions about the mentorship process and all that.
Yeah.
Any specific questions, or should I just go?
We haven't talked about it at all except yesterday, so we haven't discussed it at all.
Okay, let me tell you what it is.
Lisa helped us out a
Lisa-
little bit.
Lisa-
Yeah,
But
she gave us
very
some feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Ed,
for
do
her
you come
cohort,
back
it's a little
another
bit
day?
different.
Do you come back?
Talk to him. I'll be happy to come back tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yes. I thought
We'll
that
have to
was.
find something else to do. We can't do those silence again.
I told you, I've been telling you for years to have a second thing to do, but you don't wanna do it.
I'll, give me a call. We'll talk.
Alright. Oh, I'm gonna be here munching.
I know, they said it back and we'd go on for seconds.
So just, we know nothing, so if you just.
Okay, so
start
here's,
there.
let me put it to you this way. Each person has to do a mentorship. That mentorship is a self-directed project. So you get to pick who your mentor is and when you do it. The only requirement we have is that the mentorship, when you explain it, can be explained somehow that connects to thinking. And it's pretty much anything. You just have to be good at explaining it in a way that connects it. And I'll give you some examples. But at the end, when you're done with your mentorship, all I want is a 2-page paper telling me what you did and a 1-page abstract, which is like half a page, 3 paragraphs. If you don't give me your mentorship abstract, you don't get your degree. Because the mentorship abstract is the only proof I have that you ever took that course, which is your mentorship. It's 3 credits. Okay. So that's what you have to remember right off the bat, is you have to,
Okay, would you say that again? You have to do a 2-page description
of what you
What we
did.
did. Okay, so this is
And
summary.
a half a page, 3/4 of a page, there's a form you fill out, it's a mentorship abstract. All it does is basically give you the core explanation of what you do.
Right here,
Yep.
in that little packet.
Okay, there we go.
She's flipping me with the video, so I'm gonna show you.
Better than the bird,
She's the
right?
one probably.
One of our colleagues isn't here today.
Okay, now, the mentorship can be a broad range of things. We have people who see a psychiatrist. So they said, you know what, I see this guy every week, I'm gonna make him be my mentor. So the psychiatrist or psychologist is the Carol's mentor. And so what she does is, during the process of having their conversations, the person becomes a mentor. Some people will take a yoga class. Some people work with their physical fitness trainer. Some people will find a professor. Some people will go work at the Norwalk Aquarium. It doesn't matter. What you're after is not to learn what the mentor does, because let's face it, in the amount of hours you're going to be with them, you're not going to learn to be a psychiatrist. You're not going to learn to be, a yoga specialist. What you're trying to do is figure out what it is that makes them excellent at what they do. What it is in their attitude, in the way they approach their jobs, in the way it integrates with their life, and just who they are professionally and personally, so that they can be really good at what they do. Then you have to try to figure out how you could apply those same techniques and standards to yourself. Because the idea behind a mentorship is for you to get something from the mentor, which is an approach to the things you value that can make you better at it. So your mentor might be a physical fitness coach, but it might help you become a better teacher. You're not learning to be a physical fitness
Yeah, I'm
coach.
doing
Because the way that
acupuncture, so
Acupuncture.
she keeps trying different things.
yeah, it's not working, but she keeps trying, so I thought that would be a good
Yeah,
mentorship.
there you go.
See, this is so much easier.
Yeah.
A little less stress now.
Does it have to relate to the culminating activity? Is that?
That's one of the options.
that's what
There
we're
are
worried
3
about.
options.
Okay.
One option is to do an entirely separate mentorship. You just do a mentorship. The second option is to connect it to your job at work. So say you're an art teacher and you connect to a high school science teacher and you do something together. So it's professional or praxis-based. The third option is to do something that's related to your final research project. And a lot of people will do that. They'll do a research project and their mentorship will be with someone who's in the same field as they're doing their research project on. So there's 3 options. It's up to you. But it's got to be done within, traditionally it's done this summer, but since obviously Don never talked to you about it, I would say you just have to be done by the middle of next year, by the middle of your second year. So maybe we'll have a session in February or something where we'll all come back and report back and tell us what you did on a Friday night.
Now the presentation, do we present to the group?
Just your group, yeah.
Okay.
And that would be like on a Friday night where everybody takes 5 or 10 minutes and says, I mentored with this. It's just calm and relaxed and,
Yeah.
it's.
But then the final paper is due in the spring.
But whenever you do it, just put it in your portfolio, wherever you do it. Whenever you're done.
Culminating project.
Oh, the culminating project.
They're
Separate.
2 separate, if you
Yeah.
want them to be, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, it still needs to be 2 separate.
Yeah, the
Things,
culminated
even-
project is
Right.
due, if you graduate in July, then they should have a first draft of it in May. Because they have to look at it and then send it back to you and say, you know something, you need to work more on the introduction, or you need to work more on the conclusion, or maybe this section needs a little bit more depth, or whatever. And it gets sent back to you. Then in June, you give it to us finished, and in July, we're done and we give you a grade.
Could you give us some ideas on what other people did for the culminating project? What people-
Oh, yeah, any research, we've had people do research on autism, people do research on the effect of their culture on the way they think, like being brought up an Italian American or an Irish American. Yeah, there you go. We had people do papers on relationships. We've had people do papers on brain function, where they talked about right, left brain, and we had people talk about the importance of differentiated instruction in their classrooms, and how teachers don't seem to understand how you're supposed to teach every student from where they are. And we've had people write papers about absolutely academic things, like elements in science that destruct them. And a lot of times people will pick a presenter. Someone might write a paper. We've had several people wrote their papers on something to do with Shakespeare after they enjoyed what Ed did. And we had people do some filmmaking after they saw what Peter did. They had someone write papers on, the elements of plot and mysteries, And we've had people write about television. You can write about anything, as long as the ultimate result is that you're writing about something that affects the way people think. the subject matter's gotta be related to thinking, so this is a thinking, that's what you're getting your degree in, right? So if you went to, an acupuncturist, what you would have to be doing is talking in your mentorship about the way acupuncture affects your optimal health and well-being, and how that affects the way you're able to focus and to think and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's gotta be related to thinking. Look, we know when you write it up that you're gonna stretch it a little bit to make it connect to thinking. But you have to be clever enough to do that.
Doesn't everything affect your thinking?
Yeah.
It's how you explain it though.
Yeah. Use what we've learned in the
I had a
program
guy use
process.
his trip to Florence as his mentorship. And his mentor was his travel
I want
agent.
that
He
one.
went with him.
Yeah.
And I find out later it was his wife. But I didn't know it at the time.
That's great.
So the guy's pretty clever. But you know what? He was clever enough
Yeah, that's,
to
that's
do
your
it.
skill.
And by the time I found out, he graduated 2 years ago, so it was too late to, you know. But we've had people mentor, we've had, you know the show The View? I had 4 women who mentored on The View. All they did was go watch rehearsals for like 10 days. They let them in, they let them come in, they sat in the back, they got to talk with the guy, what's his name? The lead guy was on that show.
The View, that's
On
Barbara
The
Walters.
View, you got it?
That's Barbara Walters.
No. Yeah, I don't know, one of the
She's a
Yeah.
woman.
We had someone do that show, what was it, Good Morning America or something that's also done at Rockefeller Center. We had
Today.
a guy from Stanford, mentored for 2 weeks with Bobby Valentine, who at the time was the manager of the Mets, because Bobby Valentine owns a restaurant in Stanford, and he's always there on certain nights, and he got to meet him, and he said, "Can I come down and watch spring training?" And Bobby said, "Sure, come on down. Will you talk to me?" So Bobby had lunch with him twice. But you know, he got to see him at work. He got to stand on the sidelines and watch spring training and watch how he coaches his players, and he talked about how he was able to draw the best out of people. So you could meet with a real good coach, someone who's really a top-notch. You know, like in New Haven, you had Ed Grosfeld and his wife. They were coaches for the Olympic gymnastics team. What makes a good coach a good coach? The way they approach, the way their athletes think, and the way their athletes can get into the flow of things. But the main thing is that it's all about you. What are you interested in? What do you like? Don't do a mentorship or a co-management project that's not fun for you or rewarding for you. Then it's just like going to college. I mean, if you wanted to do that, you would have gone to Sacred Heart.
So, as a mentor, what's their responsibility gonna be? What do they have
Just
to
to
do?
allow you to be with them.
Is there something they have to sign off on?
Well, there's a form
or-
to sign off on, but only about a third of the people use it.
Oh.
This
Is that
initial
what it is?
placement, this.
Yeah,
so-
well, the initial placement was just you
Okay.
send that to me or to Don and say, "Can I do this?" And you can do. You don't have to use the form. You just send it in a
An
couple
email?
of sentences in an email.
Okay.
The form. You have to remember, we have a guy who works with Andrew Suma, and Andrew's our master of assessment and forms. And he creates forms for everything. So when we go get accredited, we have all these great forms, all these great assessments, and it just looks like, you know. As far as the one for the mentor goes, a lot of them don't like to do it. They don't want to be bothered. So if what you're willing to do, if you're willing to let them initial your summary or something, then at least it shows. But what's got to be on your mentorship abstract is their name, their address, their title, and their phone number. So that way you can't make all that stuff up. I mean, we don't want people making up that you went to mentor with, you know, this guy was a Buddhist monk in New York City and you made him up. So we want it to be like, you know, something that you have to identify. But it really is about what you're interested in and what you enjoy doing. And it sounds like it's going to be hard to think of something, but once you relax and start thinking about it, you'll think of 5 things that you might like to do. There really are a lot of nice things. You might mentor, you might go make an appointment to go through the Yale Art Museum in New Haven and talk to the docent. You know, you can sign up for a tour with a docent and say to the docent, "Will you be my mentor?" And so you can mentor with an art historian. You can mentor with any one of our presenters. You know, if you're bothered, then they'll usually like to say yes, unless it's a bad time.
And then you turn that into your culminating project, which
If you
turns
want
into
to.
your paper. Because so we have like a 20 on some on paper based on, let's say yoga, you said.
Okay, so say
And
you
then we
did.
present it to the class.
Yeah, and
I'm
you give
looking
us
at
a-
like what's ahead of us.
Okay, so
Yeah.
say this. Say you did a
How do
mentorship.
you tie it in?
Okay, so say you did a mentorship in yoga, and the teacher who teaches the yoga is your mentor.
Mhm.
And what you're trying to do with the yoga class with her is not to learn to be a yogi.
Yeah.
You're trying to learn What is it about yoga that can help change my thinking and help me better at my life and more relaxed and calmer and all these other things? Then when you write your paper, you'll do an introduction, which talks about the reasons you're interested in yoga, what you think it had to offer you, and what you're hoping to discover, and you pose some kind of question. Can yoga change my approach to whatever? Then after you do the introduction, you're going to start to make your case. And in so doing, you might have a little historical perspectives on different kinds of yoga. You know, there's like 100 different kinds. You might pick 4 or 5 of the major yogas, and you know where they came from, and who was the major proponents, and where they're, like some are in India and some are in China, and who here and there, wherever. And you write your paper about that. Then at the end, you have a chapter that says, now here's what I discovered. I discovered that if I do more yoga, I can deal with my stress, and by dealing with my stress, I can do this, and I can do this. I also found that if I have a problem I'm trying to solve, and I go work on my yoga, it helps me to work it out. I also found it helps me physically, and all these other things.
This makes more sense.
Yeah, and then at the conclusion, you conclude it by saying, and as a result of this, here's what I'm going to do next.
Okay.
I'm going to integrate it into my life, or I'm going to try to go take more classes, or I'm going to,
Get certified.
get certified, whatever, And so what you're basically doing is
Lisa's group was unbelievable. I walked out here going, I have to start my own school or open a theater. After
well, you have to understand,
Build a house.
I was like, build a house for you. All they want to do is acupuncture. Did you guys leave that way?
Yeah, I thought it had to be dynamic, like
I'm going to
change
life
my other
altering.
people.
based on this.
And she's wonderful.
And Christine's
Yeah.
gonna write a book. It's
She's
like,
writing a book.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to enjoy it.
I had a guy write a novel for one of my Harvard cohorts. It was like 400 pages. It was
Yeah.
a great little novel. It was a murder mystery.
That's what
So
she wants to
That's-
do.
yeah.
She's not here.
She's not here.
But she's not here
You
today.
go,
That's what this
Christine.
is.
She's on the flip. You
right,
go.
Christine? We're thinking of
Say
you.
hi to everybody.
Maybe she's home writing right
She's
now.
not here. She's gonna listen to
She's
us.
doing something amazing, she says, and she feels really bad. It's the only class she missed, but she says since Don is missing the whole week, she figures
Yeah,
she can
but
take the day.
your real coordinator is Vince.
Yeah.
Don is just in training.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh,
That makes
no, I
sense.
didn't know that.
Don is in
Oh.
She
training.
loves Don though,
Yes, yes.
Don is in training. Don is our guy. He took the court with me
right?
back when it was in New Haven some time ago.
That's
He graduated from it. And so when I was looking for someone to coordinate in Milford with Vince, I asked Don. And so he's going through his first year, which is just figuring stuff out, He's figuring out how to deal with all you crazy people.
Yeah, we
Is
keep
that what he
give him a
said?
run for his money.
You guys mentioned about transcripts real quick because Milford will not give
Whenever
the-
you want a transcript,
I
you get a
did. I
transcript.
can't because
We're being graded.
this is two questions. I called Lynn. She and Shannon helped me out. Because this is our 18th credit or 15th credit, I can't get my master's plus 15 without this weekend. Do I have to wait for Don to put the grades in so I could get my
Yeah,
transcript?
it takes 5 minutes. Just call him or just tell him.
Who, Don?
Yeah, or me.
Okay.
If Don's not around, call me.
Yeah,
I'll just
because
put it right
right now we all have 12, and to get
Oh.
your master's plus 15,
You have to
Shannon
finish
said
this week.
we have
Yeah.
to finish this week. So as soon as we're done with this week, I could get my transcript. I don't have to wait for it to send in my papers. Is that okay? I'll contact you, and then because we have to
Contact
get
me.
it down to Milford. You guys don't have that
No,
master's
we
plus
get
working on the
15.
masters
We
now.
actually
That's,
do.
it's been, most towns that had it are all losing it.
I know, that's why I
Yeah.
want to take advantage
I
of
had
it
it in
Before
West
we
Haven and
lose it.
before we
Stanford.
lose it, because we're on a pay freeze for 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
we can do
End
that.
of the week, I'll contact
End of the week,
Shannon
you'll have
again.
15 credits.
And then we
Yes.
actually do
Yeah.
get a grade? That was the
Oh,
other
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
we don't.
okay.
I didn't.
You start with an A.
Okay.
If you miss some classes, but you're still okay, you get a B. If you miss some classes, but you're really not that great, you're gonna get a C. If you miss some classes and you suck, you're gonna get a D.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Okay. Are
So like our-
portfolios graded and things like that? I mean, are they just?
When he
kind
does the
of
portfolio,
more
the
personal?
way we grade is a holistic, remember it's holistic thinking, right? The way we grade is holistic. 30% of your grade is based on your coming to class.
I got an
30, it's what you do in class. You just sit there like a vegetable, well, then what good are you? It's 30%. 30% is your mentorship. I'm sorry, your coming in project. 10% is your mentorship, and I forgot, 40% is your portfolio.
Oh, okay.
So you put them all together, you get 100%, or 120%, somewhere up in that range. But the idea is that you holistically scored based on what you do in class, what you write in your portfolio, because your portfolio really reflects how you think. It lets us know that after you listened to Ed, you went home and you thought about it, you wrote the description of what you heard, which is, by the way, just incredible. I don't know, I've been doing portfolios for 10 years. I have never had a class where 2 people in the room saw the same presentation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just awesome. You'll, like, if I were to read the 8 entries for Ed, you would think the 8 of you saw Ed on different days. And it's
You
slightly
gotta
different
email those to
presentation.
each other, I wanna see
No, I
what
have
you
a
guys are
question.
writing.
I don't know if you answered this, but with this particular week, do we write about each?
Yeah, you do each one, but much shorter. You can make each one like a page for each day, or half a page for
Oh,
each
good.
day. So, because you can't, I mean, you've only seen someone for 6 hours, you can't write a full portfolio entry. But you have got to go back and process it and think about it.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to go back and say, okay, here's what Ed talked about, and here's how it relates to other stuff I've learned, and here's how I kind of can apply it to my life and my thinking and the way I live. That's the whole idea of description, analysis, and reflection. You know, those are the 3 keys that you do, right? You describe what you saw, you do a little bit of analysis, which is connecting it to previous knowledge and stuff in your work, in your profession, your life, or whatever. And then the last thing is your reflections, which is your emotional attachment, whether you could use it for your, to improve on your thinking and the way you approach life.
That was very helpful.
I
Yes.
hope so, because I'm getting too old for this. So you guys got it?
Yes,
Anybody-
that was you're our first time we've actually laid it out for
Well,
us.
it's supposed to be a Friday night. You're supposed to get it in the spring. You should have had it in April
No.
or May. It should have been a Friday
We haven't
night.
had it.
Well, that's because you got a rookie. I got to teach Don these things. It's not his fault.
He's a good guy, we like
No,
him.
we
He's
love
he's a
Don.
good coordinator. He does a nice job, but he's a rookie. I got to teach him these things. He's like.
We'll school him.
Yeah,
We'll break him in.
You know, it's July, and we know that we have it went by
I
so
think we should have
fast.
Ed for another session.
Well,
so
but
that
Ed
we
doesn't
And
want to
Lisa.
do it. He's a
Come on,
Well,
Ed.
look, you're gonna make them beg, and I'm gonna say, okay, well.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, so I'll be in touch.
I see this going in so many different directions with conflict and then, viewing something in Shakespeare and breaking that apart with conflict and applying it to our own conflicts. I mean, it's gonna
Well,
take off.
the thing is, if this is where Ed's willing to go, then I'll email Ed. We'll get a dialogue going back. But we have to do all next year. I have to schedule all next year.
Real important image, the focus was your last comment about how helpful it is to be in an environment where you learn that you have permission to disagree, to have a different position, because that's a very rich topic about how not having that permission inhibits, and how getting that permission, and if the person's not going to give it to you, how do you get it?
Now that, I
Yeah.
think, is a really
I
fascinating
just
question.
last week read a book that I want to recommend to everybody. It's called Drive, like drive a car, Drive, D-R-I-V.
I have that.
It is a wonderful book, but you can go on YouTube, type in Drive, and you can watch a 10-minute cartoon video which summarizes the whole book.
Is it that marker thing?
Yeah.
I love those.
Those
Those are
whiteboard
like the
guys,
best.
those whiteboard
On
guys.
the whiteboard, I love those. They make sense of everything.
But this is such a good book. It talks about the same thing you're talking about, this idea of the intrinsic value of being able to be self-directed and to have some control over what you do. And it's very important stuff. So anyway, look, I know a lot of you have to go. You can email me. I'm here. My name isn't changed, so you can still find me
That
the
was
same
very
email.
helpful.
Just a quick question, for the schedule for this coming year, when does that come out? When do we get?
Oh, I have it. I'm just booking people. I could send it to you whenever I felt like it.
Like dates you could tell.
I have all the
Can you
dates.
have
I'm
this
right
up?
here.
I don't
Oh,
even
good.
mind who it's gonna be.
Okay,
just
hang on a
know
second.
the
Well, I don't know
date.
what's going to be yet.
Yeah.
Let me just want me to read dates? You want to write it down?
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be
Okay.
fabulous.
Sure.
Yeah, I do all this stuff.
Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm having easily as much fun or more than you are during this, so the fact that he allows me to do it and actually pays me for it is, I think.
Not much. We don't pay him much. Don't get too excited. Okay.
And can I
This-
say there's a Shakespeare play in Stratford, Lucy Babbitt
We love Lucy
directing.
Babbitt.
Yeah, so she's putting on
Trial
the
with
Winter's
Lucy
Tale,
I've seen her.
Friday and Saturday nights
I go
through
and see
months.
Lucy. She's working.
Yeah.
We go, all the teachers
This,
go to see her.
Booth Park, this,
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Pencils in hand.
all right, here we
Yeah.
go.
September 16th and 17th. October 28th and 29th. November 18th and 19th. December 16th and 17th. January 27th and 28th. February 10th and 11th. March 30th and 31st. April 27th and 28th. May 25th and 26th. June 8th and 9th. The week of July 16th. Usually it's about 4 days because you'll be graduating, so it's not the whole week.
Graduating.
I'm like, wait.
A lot, I'll tell you what, if you guys are smart, the day you're gonna present for your coming in projects, you can do it all in one day, it's just a small group. What you do is you have it at someone's house.
Yeah,
Ooh,
You know?
Kathy, let's go back have a pool party. Yeah.
So it's July 16th.
If you have a
July
pool
16th
party,
that
you
week.
gotta tell Vince not to wear a Speedo.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
If you still have your old packets, my email address hasn't changed, but it's my name, James, the letter P as in Peter, Longo. James P. Longo at AOL.com.
Did you want these?
as long as you, like, let's say my son's making this, that's why I needed the dates for confirmation and
Well,
before.
you might miss something.
That's okay, as long as you.
Yeah.
If you miss an occasional day, you're okay. Everybody misses days.
Yep.
Weddings, funerals,
Okay.
graduations.
Get the note.
As long as you don't miss like a bunch of
You
them.
got it.
Every weekend is one credit.
Oh, wait a minute, this, you want me to give this to Ed?
It's 12 hours,
yeah.
36 hours you get a graduate course. So every weekend is one credit.
And I emailed you about my mentorship and
Oh, that-
forget
yeah.
to do a painting course at Omega Institute.
Oh,
And
See,
so,
that's even-
thank
now I
you.
get it. I'm good.
My daughter is up at Omega Institute with her boyfriend. He's an instructor for some meditation Zen shit. And she's up there for the week. She's got, I don't know what she does, man. She's a yogi or something. But anyway.
Could we do it together? We have a new writing program, and she's going to I wasn't going to, I was gonna do acupuncture, but I could do that for my mentorship. Could we do it together where she uses my classroom, because she was a reading teacher, I'm a classroom teacher. She was gonna do art and writing, and I'm doing a new writing program with Lucy Calkins. Is that something we could do together?
Yeah, you do it together.
And then I could do my action plan for my mentorship, because I already love her, and I started.
Yeah, do it. Who's the acupuncture?
Dr. Faith, she's Milford.
Thank you, folks.
She's
See you tomorrow.
great.
I went to do
Right,
that.
tomorrow. I was like, isn't tomorrow Sunday?
It's
not Sunday.
Oh, she didn't do anything for me.
It hasn't been able to.
I'm all mixed up, my time. So we can just leave our things, the bulk of our stuff here.
Good idea, I'm gonna do that.
You wanna get your paint, your back?
Leave them there? Tie on the tie?
No.
No.
Well, there's something
Aye.
cranial sacral.
And then I had that whole other, party yesterday, and so much
I gotta tell
food
you, my
and,
back was so
oh,
bad.
people
Every
made
6 months
scarves
I
and
was
we
laid
hung
up for a
them.
week.
Who does that? My
I didn't know these
There's only
people
2 different
really.
places in the state.
My friends' friends, and
I went to a brain surgeon. I went to everybody. I had like neurologists, everybody looked at me. No one could do anything, but then I finally found in Stanford, I know there's one in Glasgow, there's like 3 in the state. There's,
You
I
can
went
unflip us.
I went to like 4
Oh, yeah,
times.
that's right, I'm sorry.
Cranial sacral
That's what Kathy
therapy.
was
That's
saying.
what I do.